So Ravens flock, we got some extremely exciting but also surprising news earlier today that broke. So the Ravens and Rashod Bateman have agreed to another contract extension. It is a 3-year deal worth $36 million with $20 million fully guaranteed. And this is the second contract extension that Rashod Bateman has signed. He obviously signed his first one last year. I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure this would make Rashod Bateman the first wide receiver drafted by the Ravens to get multiple contract extensions. Like, I have a hard time even remembering a wide receiver that the Ravens drafted who even got one contract extension, let alone two contract extensions. It's a very team-friendly deal. Like, with this deal combined with the 2 years left on his current deal, he's going to be locked in with the Ravens for the next 5 seasons, and he's only going to be making $47 million. So you're talking about less than $10 million a year. That is extremely team-friendly, especially considering the actual potential that he has. Rashod Bateman has had a very, very interesting journey up until this point. Coming out of Minnesota, we all had high hopes for him. He had the traits that you wanted to see in a wide receiver one. However, his career got off to a rocky start due to injury. Ironically enough, coming out of college, he never had a history of injury ever. But sometimes in life, things like sometimes life will just throw curveballs at you. So it is what it is. I don't think it's all his fault. I don't think he's actually injury prone, but think he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. So if you guys remember, we had a strength and conditioning coach. I think his name was like Steve Sanders or something like that. Either way, he was very incompetent, and a bunch of our guys were getting hurt back to back to back to back. If you guys remember, this is when Lamar got hurt back-to-back seasons. This is when all of our cornerbacks kept going down back-to-back-to-back. This is when Justice Hill, J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards all got injured in like a week and a half. This was during that time period when Rashod Bateman got drafted. So since we've gotten rid of that strength and conditioning coach, not only has Rashod remained healthy for the most part, but our entire team has been much healthier for the most part. So I don't think he truly is injury prone like that. I just think he was at the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. And it is what it is. By the time we get into his third season, well, even before his third season, actually, as far as him flashing, he did flash a lot, not too much, but a lot in his first 2 seasons, most notably in his rookie year when he caught that touchdown. Well, I thought it was a touchdown. So during the Browns game, Tyler Huntley threw a jump ball. Rashod Bateman mossed the defender, and I thought he got in for a touchdown, but they say he was down at the 1. To this day, I think that's a touchdown, but that's neither here nor there. The other best example of him flashing early on was in his second season, during that Miami Dolphins game where he took that slant to the house for a 75-yard touchdown. So people still had a lot of high hopes for him, but there was still the concerns about the injury and about the chemistry with Lamar, because whenever he was hurt, Lamar was playing, but then when he started playing, Lamar got hurt. So there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities for them to actually get on-field reps in with each other. And then once we get into his third season, there's like a transition period where we move on from Greg Roman, we hire Todd Monken, and then on top of that, we draft Zay Flowers in the first round, and then on top of that, we signed Odell Beckham Jr. So all of this happening all at once, it kind of put Rashod in no man's land where it's like, where does he really fit in at this point? He's kind of in limbo. And in the 2023 season, he had a very underwhelming season from a stat standpoint. He did finish the year. He played pretty much every game, so he had his first healthy season. But he didn't have a whole lot of yards or catches. He had like 350 yards and I think 1 or 2 touchdowns. But many people still had hope for him, because one thing many Ravens fans started to notice, to keep track of, is the fact that he was dominating when it comes to route running and creating separation. Like in 2023, he had the most separation. He created the most separation out of any wide receiver in football by a landslide. And then even in this past season, he didn't finish number 1 as far as creating separation, but I believe he finished 2 or 3. So you're talking about back-to-back seasons of being a top 3 receiver in football at creating separation, which is insane. And Another example of why people were still hopeful for Bateman was the AFC Championship game. Unfortunately, we lost that game, and we kept thinking that nobody was really getting open and nothing was really working. But as we went back to go watch the All 22, when you look at Rashod Bateman, you started to see that on many plays he did get open. He was giving crazy work to a bunch of these cornerbacks on the Chiefs, including Trent McDuffie, who's their best cornerback and who's one of the better cornerbacks in all of football. He was giving him crazy work. He put that man in a blender. That man was lost. He needed a map. He couldn't find the field. But either way though, we all started to think, man, maybe if they got Bateman involved, things could have played out differently. Like, he was so far down the list of priorities when it comes to Lamar going through his progressions and the targets that he prioritized. But either way, clearly this past off season, Todd Monken and Lamar, they took note of that, and there was more of a focus to get Bateman involved this season, and he had his best season statistically so far. He finished the year fully healthy again for the most part. He got banged up in the playoffs, but he played all 17 games, and he played all the playoff games. He had about 750 yards, 9 touchdowns. He didn't have a whole lot of targets. He only had 60 targets, but he caught about 45 of them, and he balled out. He showed his full potential. He showed potential in areas that he wasn't even known for necessarily. Like, coming out of Minnesota, nobody really looked at him as like a major deep ball threat, but he was our best deep ball receiver this year. Like, he by far was the most reliable guy that Lamar could go to on deep passes. And he also started to show that he was also still dominant in the areas that we did expect him to dominate, like with those intermediate routes. He was balling. He finished the year with 9 touchdowns and then about 2 or 3 touchdowns in the playoffs. He should have had another touchdown in that Buffalo game, but he slipped at like the 2-yard line. He finished the year in the regular season and the playoffs. He had touchdowns in 5 out of those final 6 games, which I thought was very underrated. And it also makes sense why he's so dominant in the red zone, just because of the fact that he's so elite at intermediate routes. So once you get into the red zone, Lamar started to realize that you could almost count on Rashod Bateman being open sooner or later, really sooner, because it didn't take him much time to get open. And it was exciting to see. Like, I'm expecting him to have 1,000-yard season. I know D-Hop came in, but like I said in the last video, Zay Flowers and Rashod Bateman are entering their primes, so I would expect Rashod and Zay to still be, one, like Zay to be 1 and Rashod to be 2, or maybe in the best case scenario, you have a 1A, 1B situation, and maybe D-Hop finishes with around 500 to 700 yards. But I think Rashod Bateman and Zay Flowers can finish this year with over 1,000 yards apiece, especially if he has a similar season to what he had in 2024, but he just gets more targets. Because at the way he was producing, if he had gotten a similar target share to Zay, like Zay had about 105 targets more or less in 2024. If Bateman had that type of target share, at the pace he was going, he would have finished the year with like 1,200 yards and like 12 touchdowns more or less, which would have been crazy, right? That being said, though, I am a little surprised that he signed for that team-friendly deal, because I'm sure we all realize that he could have gotten so much more, especially if he had just waited another year, just played out his contract. He could have definitely gotten way more than that. Even if he doesn't reach wide receiver 1 potential and he's just like a really good wide receiver 2, even in that case scenario, wide receiver 2s are making upwards of like $25 to $28 million a year. And even on the low end, they're making like around 15 to 18 million a year. So to see him willingly sign for 12 million a year, I thought was interesting. Now, when he signed his extension last year, I understood why he had to do it, because unfortunately for him, there was one like day or event that he didn't attend during his like first 2 seasons due to injury when he was getting hurt so much. And unfortunately, due to not showing up on that day, it made him ineligible for a 5th-year extension, which caused him to fire his agent, rightfully so, because he sabotaged him. That lost him a lot of money. However, this year, him choosing to sign a team-friendly deal I thought it was interesting. Clearly, he's going to be on the good side of all Ravens fans. Many Ravens fans are going to be excited for him. They're going to have a massive amount of appreciation for him, that he's willing to look past the money.
I just want to be there when everybody get their ring. I don't really care who, got the many catches and touches. I just want to be part of something big.
And clearly, this year, he is proving that he meant what he said when he said he wants to be a part of something special. This is going to lock him into the Ravens until his 9th season. So pretty much the rest of Rashod Bateman's prime is going to be played out. We're going to get a chance to witness it. And I'm excited to see the duo of Rashod and Zay Flowers for the next couple of seasons, seeing just how good they could be together. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Rashod Bateman situation. Do you think that he should have taken more money, or do you think that he's satisfied with the deal he has? And also let me know, what do you think he's gonna do next season? Do you think he's gonna have a major breakout season, or do you think he's gonna take a backseat to D-Hop or somewhere in between? Let me know in the comment section below.